Hello and welcome to another standard video here on the official MTG Arena channel. Today we're taking a look at the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set, which introduces a ton of characters from the mainline Final Fantasy series, including Yuna, Hope of Spira, a 5-mana 3/5 legendary creature, saying during our turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures we control have Trample, Lifelink, and Ward 2, and at the beginning of our end step, we get to return up to one target enchantment card from our graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And the set also introduces a bunch of these Saga enchantment creatures nowadays that count as creatures, so they can attack and block, and they're still enchantments, so we can bring them back with Yuna at the beginning of our end step. One of those is Summon Knights of Round, which is a 3/3 indestructible creature, and then on the first 4 chapters we get to make 3 2/2 Knight tokens each turn, and then on the final chapter, when we have to sacrifice our enchantment creature Saga, we get to give other creatures +2/+2, as well as put an indestructible counter on each one of them. So an incredibly powerful effect, and we can bring it back pretty early in this deck thanks to our discard outlets. And then not only do we have Yuna to bring it back, but we can also use Abuelo's Awakening, which normally doesn't get back creatures, only artifacts and non-aura enchantments, but in the case of an enchantment creature, we're still good to go since it meets one of the conditions. So then we can bring it back in the form of a 1/1 spirit with potentially more +1 counters if we sink more mana into it, but getting a 1/1 indestructible Summon Knights of Round is still good enough since all the various Saga chapters will still trigger, so we still get to generate all of those Knight tokens. And then besides Summon Knights of Round, we also have Summon Bahamut, a 9-mana enchantment creature normally, a 9/9 flyer, and on the first 2 chapters we get to destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. On chapter 3 we draw 2 cards, and then finally this creature deals damage equal to the total mana value of other permanents we control to each opponent, so that's also usually game ending if the game was somehow lasting that long. And then to round out the deck, of course, we need some discard outlets to get these expensive enchantments in the graveyard, and to do that we have 2 copies of Bitter Reunion, also an enchantment itself, so we can technically get it back with Yuna's ability. And then we also have the ability to sacrifice Bitter Reunion to give our creatures haste, so that can also be relevant. Then Fear of Missing Out, another awesome enchantment creature that we can get back with Yuna, can potentially set up multiple attack steps, especially because we're also running 4 battles, so that adds even more various card types to enable Delirium. And a turn to Invasion of Argamon, discarding a card and making a treasure token, can maybe set up a turn 3 Abuelo's Awakening already, bringing back one of our Sagas, so that can also be very powerful. And then Seize the Spoils, discards a card to draw 2 and make a treasure token, so that can also set up a turn 4 Yuna to bring back our Sagas. And then we've got some removal to keep up with aggro decks. Torch the Tower, also have plenty of tokens and artifacts we can sacrifice to bargain. And then we've got 2 Brotherhood's End to wipe the board, dealing 3 to each creature and planeswalker. And then our mana base consists of the various Surveil lands, which enter tapped but let us Surveil 1, perfect for maybe sculpting or draw initially, and if we're lucky we might Surveil one of our Sagas into the graveyard. And they also enable the Verge lands to produce all of their colors, so those also pair very well with each other. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw. We have a couple Sagas to reanimate and Seize the Spoils to discard it, but no reanimation effect, so I think we take a mulligan here. Alright, this time we have multiple reanimation spells, but nothing to actively put in the graveyard. I think we still try it. One Yuna can go. Opponent on an equipment deck. So we can use our Surveil to dig for one of our payoff cards. Thornspire Verge, I don't think I need to prioritize. We've got 2 extra lands already. So opponent with a Cutter and a Swiss Spear. So it's maybe not all-out equipment, but still kind of an aggressive deck. Well, I can play Fear. At this point I could discard Awakening since Seize the Spoils ramps out Yuna. And I'll need the lands for it. Alright, there we go. Summon Knights of Round. So next turn I can discard it, turn after Yuna can get it back, but we'll see if we get to survive that long. Chainsaw gets a ref counter. We fall to 11. Now summon Bahamut is also an option, but I think I would rather go wide, even though it's not going to answer the flying Freya Crescent. But we'll also gain some life back. So we'll try this approach. And then Fear of Missing Out can discard Summon Bahamut. A Lost GT can help them untap a land or get additional +1 counters. Can also prevent us from blocking. So it does some useful things. And yeah, that's a lot of damage coming our way. Don't know if we'll survive this. So Freya flies. They can suit it up with either Chainsaw or GT. And now I guess they could also put a Steel Cutter on it. But that might still be a damage short. Alright, so we take 2. Find Abuelo's Awakening. Make more knights, so this has to attack. Yuna could attack as well. And then Fear discards Bahamut, Yuna gets it back. That's the plan. They can now use the GT to potentially untap a land. Alright, and now we have Torture Tower up as well. So we might be getting back into it. Yuna triggers, get back Bahamut. Can destroy Freya. And yeah, our opponent scoops it up. Awesome. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with Keeper. We've got our discard outlet, our reanimation spell, and something powerful to reanimate. Even as just a 1/1 through Abuelo's Awakening, we'll get plenty of value out of our Saga. Opponent's a black-white sacrifice deck, and yeah, Invasion of Argamon can set up a turn 3 Abuelo's Awakening already. So sign me up. So our opponent's likely playing with a mainline Final Fantasy character, Sephiroth. Take 1. And yeah, there he is. Fabled Soldier can sack the freebooter, draw card. I do have a Torture Tower, which could go after Sephiroth. I think we let them untap with it. And then still set up our Abuelo's Awakening instead. Opponent's got another freebooter first. So yeah, this is turn 3. Just a 1/1, but it's still indestructible. And now it flies, making 3 2/2 knight tokens. Gotta hope they don't have removal that exiles my creature, which is very much possible. Something like an Eaten Alive would do it. It's going to be a Blood Witch. And a Corrupted Conviction to draw. Our opponent still needs to sacrifice a couple more creatures to transform Sephiroth. Uh-oh. They're looking at my summon. Alright, we get to untap. Make more knights. And then start with Seize the Spoils. And then I can still torch, sacking a knight token to take care of Sephiroth. And we'll put that in the graveyard, so Yuna can bring it back next turn. Do this now, so the 2/2 knights can attack. Could try and transform the invasion. Don't think I bother. Opponent happy to jump with a freebooter. So Yuna can hopefully gain us some life back by making a life-linking Bahamut. So we don't get drained to death by the Blood Witch. Zac can also protect various creatures. So we'll still have a turn of making knights, and then afterwards we get to give the team +2/+2 until end of turn, and make them indestructible as well. I guess we still needed the untapped land for Yuna, so glad we found it. Can play it now, so we gain 1 off summon Knights of Round, and get in there with everyone. We've got a ward 2, but our opponent's got some treasures to potentially pay for it, should they have instant speed removal. Zac is going to sacrifice to protect the Blood Witch. And summon Bahamut. Now cannot take out the Blood Witch, so I guess we go for a treasure token. And there's another Zac. And our opponent seems to be in trouble here. Good game indeed. Can try and take out the Blood Witch. Our opponent's gonna sack Zac in response, and then I can still torch at instant speed. But no, opponent lets it go. And we can attack all out. And that should be plenty. So yeah, turn 3, bring back Summon Knights of Round, almost got to the final chapter. But wasn't going to be necessary. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand is missing one of our big sagas to bring back out of the graveyard, but we get a few looks with the Surveil and our discard and draw effects. So I'm willing to try it. Facing red-white. And I should probably keep the lands. So with Invasion of Argamon we can potentially already Awakening on turn 3, but we don't have anything powerful to discard. Opponents got their own fear of missing out. We'll see if they're trying to reanimate something big. Discards a Dragon Engine. Okay. For now, could play my own fear. Maybe discarding the Invasion. Although Invasion does maybe ramp out Yuna, but since we have the Awakening, that's maybe less of a priority. And adding Battle as a type for Delirium is also useful. I see Monument to Endurance. So that's what they're trying to set up. Now I could be convinced to discard a land to the Bitter Union. Alright, we found our Summon Bahamut. So next turn I can maybe cast the Invasion to discard it, and that sets up Yuna on the following turn. Guardian of New Benalia is a discard outlet, so that can enable the Monument a whole bunch. So we probably want to destroy the Monument with our Saga. And recommission back the Dragon Engine, which will also trigger discarding their hand to draw 3. Triggers Monument. At least they don't have Delirium yet for their own fear of missing out. Alright, so now we have options and we can discard both Sagas. Let's start with Invasion. And discard Bahamut. And Fear discard Summon Knights of Round. So our Delirium has been enabled. So if I want to, next turn I could go for an Awakening and then sack the Reunion to give haste. But I'm probably better off just casting Yuna. And Gardens is gonna copy the monuments, so now they control 2 of them. So yeah, with the Guardian of New Benalia as a discard outlet, they can go off. Cannot destroy the Guardian, since it can just become indestructible. But I guess there's no real drawback in blocking it. Alright, opponent's gonna enlist, so that explains that attack. So it will have 2 additional power. We can gain some life back with Yuna at least, giving a lifelink to our enchantment creatures. So that should help. Although let's do some math. If I take 10 here, fall to 7, they can activate Monuments for 6, and then again in my turn for 6. So then I could just be dead. So I probably have to chump the Dragon Engine here. And then I should fall to 1. Yeah, that's a shame, because I would have loved to keep both Fears. So opponent's gonna enable Monuments. Once again. And there we see Joshua. So one of the new cards from the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set. That does block our fear of missing out, so now we don't have that free attack to gain 4 life anymore. So yeah, we might just be dead now. Opponent can put me to 1 at instant speed with a Guardian. Might have been worth it to attack with Yuna as well. I think I have to send in the Fear just to gain 2 life. Although 2 life up to 3 doesn't really make a difference. And if turn get back, summon Bahamut. And blow up one of the monuments. But our opponent's gonna get us to 1, and then next turn, 1 more Monument activation will do it. Yeah, if only we got a chance to attack with Bahamut. But since it comes back in the end step, it's too late. So yeah, had I not jumped with the other Fear of Missing Out, we would have been dead by now. And that'll do it. GG's. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, missing something exciting to discard. Our lands are also not optimal here. Is this any better? We've got our Fear, discard Summon Knights around, and then we're still looking for a Reanimation effect. Can let go of Invasion. Need green mana first. I think I actually start with Bitter Union, just because it draws 2 cards, so we get to dig a little bit deeper. Opponent blue-white. I'll hang on to my Brotherhood's End for now. So still looking for Yuna, or potentially Abuela's Awakening. Opponent looks like a blue-white control deck. We do have Delirium enabled at least. Well, let's go back-to-back Fear. Don't think I'll need Brotherhood's End against control. And I could sack the Reunion to attack with both Fears. Can still cast Yuna if we top deck it. Opponent forced to smite. Start by attacking. Don't necessarily want to play another Fear when our opponent's going to cast a board wipe here. Demolition Fields blows up our dual lands. Do have a mountain to find at least. Memories returning, some card advantage. So let's put Get Lost on the bottom. And once again, alright, we found Yuna, although is it too little too late? So I get to hit for 4, bring back Summon Knights of Rounds, which at least is indestructible. But if our opponent's got a sweeper like Sunfall, they can exile my entire board and it doesn't matter. It's gonna be Ultima instead. Alright, so Summon Knights of Round survives. And that's a pretty big difference here. And then we're not too far from casting another 8 mana card. So yeah, I can attack for 3, debating whether or not I should discard the lands or the Saga. Yeah, I guess I'll discard the lands. And then with an Abuela's Awakening on top, I think we can keep that. So our opponent needs another board wipe. Elspeth can try and keep up by making soldier tokens. But yeah, we get to attack twice with summon Knights of Rounds, and that should be game. Awesome, on to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. We are missing one of our sagas to discard, but we do get a few looks with our 2 Surveil lands. We've got Fear as a discard outlet, so we'll try it. And another Fear isn't really needed when we just picked up Seize the Spoils. We've got discard outlets aplenty. Now Tifa Lockhart is probably too dangerous to let them untap with it. So we'll Torch now before they can protect it. And play Tapped District. Don't need Mountain. So we are still kind of spinning our wheels here, looking for something exciting, and there's another Tifa. So we could be in trouble. Could try and play the Fear as a blocker. Could technically still draw into another Tortured Tower as well. But I think I Seize just to be mana efficient. So yeah, we could be dead here if we see a pump spell into a fetch land. The damage is going to add up quickly. It's going to be Bristly Bill plus a fetch land, so yeah, that's potentially lethal if there's another 1 mana pump spell. And just an escape tunnel for now. Up to 14 power. So we're at 6. And there's a Torch, a draw step late. So now what's the best I can do? Cast Fear, discard a land, and then Torch, take out Bill. But we're still dead to a land drop, most likely. Anything else I can do? And there's Yuna, but we still haven't found any of our sagas. Can try this now, although there might be another protection spell in hand for all we know. Yep, Snakeskin Veil. Now that we have Yuna, we don't need the Awakening as much anymore. Found our Summon Knights of Rounds, but it's probably too little too late. And Giant Growth plus a land will do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. This hand is just missing a discard outlet, but it's also pretty slow to get going without interaction, a lot of tap lands. So I don't think I can keep. This is a bit more balanced. We are still missing a discard outlet. So then I have to decide if I want to get rid of Abwill's Awakening or Yuna, or maybe a Brotherhood's End. Yeah, since we're missing a second red source, maybe that's reasonable, although it does give me interaction if I do find the red mana. So then maybe I can afford to bottom the Awakening. And then Invasion seems perfect here. So would have set up a turn 3 Abwill's Awakening. Now we're gonna aim for a turn 4 Yuna. But we've got the backup plan of casting a Brotherhood's End in the meantime. Alright, and I won't even need to use my treasure now. Opponent with Saz Chocobo. And a side quest, so opponents on the bird deck trying to transform the side quest. Well, this is a pretty good opportunity to cast our sweeper. And next turn Yuna gets back summon Knights of Round. As our opponent makes another 2/2 bird token. So we've got our indestructible 3/3, and each turn we'll get 3 knight tokens. In our turn, Yuna also grants our enchantment creatures trample, lifelink, and ward 2, so we can even gain some life back. And we're hoping to find another discard outlet to put summon Bahamut in the graveyard. So our opponent's playing blue as well. There's some payoffs for the bird deck. And for mana, I believe there's Choco, which is another payoff for attacking with your birds. And yeah, now a Chocobo kick, dealing 6 damage. So that's a nice answer to Yuna. Did find a discard outlet, but now we no longer have our reanimation effect. But we can still get in there. Maybe play the Fear first, in case we draw Torch the Tower. And we actually did. Alright, so I guess we'll clear a path now, or I can wait. Maybe our opponent tries to set up another Chocobo kick, or they play a more impactful creature. And then, let's see. Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to transform the invasion. Alright, and that'll do it. So we got to see this Saga Reanimator deck in action. And yeah, the combo of the new Sagas alongside Yuna, giving them lifelink and bringing them back turn after turn seems incredibly powerful. Do need to have a little bit of mana acceleration from the treasures to get Yuna in play before turn 5, otherwise it might be a little bit too slow. But yeah, as long as you have some cheap removal, you should be able to keep up with all the aggro decks that you can expect to face on the rank ladder, especially in best of 1, and then hopefully your Sagas can take care of the rest. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.